I think I'm gonna have a little fun here. Let me adjust this a little bit, see if we can get more people. See how that looks. Yeah. Okay, so this is me preparing a prime rib. We'll see how many people are actually going to join on this thing, but I figure, you know what, I'm spending Thanksgiving by myself. There's not really much going on right now, so I have my tripod, so I'm going to just show it. My setup is pretty funny, so I have my tripod set up right now. And, you know, this is my kitchen, which I've been working on trying to, you know, fix. So, you know, as you know, well, most people don't know this, but what happened was starting in October, I became the only person in the house. I'm the only one here. My roommate, my longtime roommate, moved out, and so pretty much left me this entire house. And so I've been spending most of it trying to get this place situated to a place, you know, to a point where it makes sense. So traditionally with Thanksgiving, because you know most of the time we're, you know, with people, and we can't do that because the cooties are still around and nobody wants the cooties, and I don't want the cooties because, as you know, I work in education. So, you know, the last thing I need is to either get cooties and then come back, or, you know, increase my chances of getting cooties from somewhere else that's not a student. So, you know, things just kind of blow. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to have fun with this one. I'm going to enjoy Thanksgiving, and traditionally when I do Thanksgiving, I do a prime rib. And this prime rib has varied in size. The largest prime rib I've done was closer to like a 7-pound rib roast, which was, I think, at least 4 or 5 bones in it. I mean, this thing was massive, you know, but considering it's only me right now, there's not really much I can do with, you know, the size of things. Now, the good news is that Vons was on sale, and I was able to get a rib roast for $4.77, which was pretty sweet, $4.77 a pound. And so I found this little roast that I thought was going to be just right to be able to make. And yes, I am going to be, this is basically my impromptu cooking show because, you know, no one's with me right now for this, and I thought that this would be hilarious. So, this is how to make a prime rib, Christine style, using math, just enough math to make it tasty. So if you just joined in, the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be heating up the stove here. Actually, not the stove, but the oven. I'm going to get this thing set up to 500 degrees, and this thing's going to heat up while I prepare this roast. It's going to be probably nice and toasty hot by the time I'm finished with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Actually, if I can actually set this to broil. There's actually a broil button, so I just go ahead and do that. And this is the piece de la resistance that we're going to be playing with. There. This has been sitting out overnight because when you do a roast, you have to make sure that it's at room temperature. Otherwise, you're going to have issues. You're going to have dry meat, and you don't want to do that. Hey, Nino, I'm making a prime rib. I wish you were here, man. Yeah, seriously, like, you know. So this right here weighed in at 4.47 pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and round that up to 4.5 pounds. This is a 4.5 pound roast. This has been sitting out for a whole day. Well, I mean, not a day, but it's been sitting out overnight until now. And I'm going to go ahead and open this guy up and then put it in a bowl. And then I'm going to rinse it out. So that's the first thing I need to do. But before I go ahead and do that, let me go wash my hands to make sure that I'm completely clean. Because, I mean, yes, I'm prepping this for myself, but, you know, there might be some samples involved here. And, you know, we want to make sure that we're nice and sanitary, right? So here we go. I just go ahead and give myself a nice wash here. I may put on gloves in just a bit, but that's going to be for the part where I slather this thing and, you know, bless this thing in Irish butter. And I'll show you what's in here. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this thing open. So now this setup is a little bit different. This is actually the first time I'm going to have a setup like this, because before I actually fixed stuff here in the kitchen, there used to be this really huge cart that would take up, it was like this high, and you couldn't do stuff like this. But I was able to create an island, you know, thanks IKEA, of course. Technically, it's not IKEA, it's actually IKEA. You know, I know we Americans like to pronounce it incorrectly, so do I. But you know, if you want to pronounce IKEA the right way, it's IKEA. It's not IKEA. But anyway, I'm cutting this open right now, and I have to remember this is a 4.5-pound roast because I'm going to need that number later. Oh, that smells divine. Now, traditionally, I would have pulled this, already cleaned this, and pulled this out of the refrigerator. The only problem with that is that would require me to have dry aged it for several days. You know, traditionally, I would be dry aging this roast. But since I just got this thing yesterday, we're just going to do this one fresh this year. You know, really, in terms of the quality of the flavor, it's still going to be wonderful. I mean, I know, you know, that's just for me, you know, just being one of those perfectionists and saying, oh, you know what, I'm just going to do that because I can. So anyway, this thing is gorgeous, but there's way too much blood and juice here. So I'm going to go ahead and just move it into this bowl here and then toss this out because this needs to go. Unfortunately, trash day is tomorrow, which I'm okay with. So next thing I'm going to be doing is put this thing in the sink and rinse it off. So it's nice, rinse and dry. Just make sure you get all the weird, you know, all of the extra liquid out of it. Just make sure it's clean. You know, I mean, you know, when it comes straight from the butcher, it's pretty clean. I mean, but you know, you just want to make sure that any sort of like foreign whatever is taken off and any sort of like looseness, you know, things that you don't need in there. So now, when you usually choose a roast, you want to make sure that the fat cap is pretty trimmed up. This one here, I think the fat cap looks divine. I'm just going to bring this back here, but you can see right here, there's your 4.5-pound roast. This thing looks pretty awesome. I have to dry it off first before I do anything. And right now behind me, I have the oven set to broil. Okay. And yes, I did clean, sanitize, all that fun stuff, you know, just making sure that everything... Okay, and so I know this one's for Tracy. She's not watching right now, but she did ask me if I was going to spank the meat. Well, you know, I'll tell you what, this thing definitely needs to be dry, and it takes a few paper towels for me to do this. So here we go. Just want to make sure that we pat gently. You know, we pat this gently. You know, just enjoy this, right? You know. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you slap that meat like that. Traditionally, I don't do that, but you know, because Tracy asked, I was gonna do it. So there you go. I slapped the meat. This one here is a 1-2. This one looks like it's a 2 rib. No, wait. Let me see. 1, 2. Looks like there's 4 in here. Looks like it's 4 ribs in here, which is very nice. All right. Anyway, so that's a very clean roast. You know, and ultimately, it's going to be going into this thing, which is my IKEA, with a nice little roasting pan right there. You know, that's what's up. All right, so in order to prepare this roast, you know, to get it ready, it doesn't actually take a lot. What I have to do is, after I've dried this thing, I pretty much have to bless it in butter. But this butter, you want to make sure that there's herbs in it and all sorts of fun stuff. So what I got to do is I got to prepare this butter. And at this point, you know, I'm really not in the mood for gloves. We're not doing gloves this year. We're going to get down and dirty. Let's take a look here. Get ourselves a wonderful... I know, and I don't have a multi-camera audience, so this really isn't going to help. But what I'm going to do is I have a whole... This has been sitting out for a little bit, but I think it's a little cold still. But this is Kerrygold Pure Irish Butter. I have garlic powder. I have black pepper. I have the herbs de Provence, which actually I've used a couple years. I'm going to actually use the remainder of this on this roast because I'm going to get a new bottle next year. And a shit ton of kosher salt because you have to get the kosher, you've got to get that salt on there. Because theoretically, when you put the salt and the butter and everything like that, only maybe a quarter of this salt's going to end up permeating into the roast anyway, so there's really no reason to you know, basically you can do this without much prejudice. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to be using this bowl again because what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this roast inside there and then I'm going to slather it in because I need to make sure. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm kind of playing this by ear because, you know, table is table. So so what I need to do now is I need to actually take this butter, and the butter cannot. You don't want to melt the butter, but you do want to make sure it's soft. So I'm probably going to end up maybe putting this in the microwave, which is right below me, by the way. Probably putting it in for maybe, I don't know, 10 seconds. So this is one of those industrial packs that you go get from Costco. I have like 4 of these, you know, and why do you get so much butter from Costco? I said, well, you know, you never know when you're going to make cookies, you're going to make a prime rib, make something for everyone to enjoy, you know, that sort of bit. So, you know, by the way, by no means am I a professional at this. I've just been doing this for the last several years, so it's just become my thing. You know, it's not something that I do all the time, but, you know, when the holidays come around and this stuff's on sale, I am totally just making, you know, delicious prime rib, rub the meat kind of stuff. So here's this is an entire thing of butter. Yeah, that's 8 ounces of butter right there. I'm gonna go ahead and, I know, I feel like I'm like Julia Child, but like, you know, the shitty version of it. And I'm gonna go ahead and just drop this about 10 seconds to get this nice and soft. Okay. All right, there we go. I get that about soft enough. So then what will happen is, while this is still heating in the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, in the butter, I'm going to take the rest of these herbs, shove them in there. This is the last of the herbs, I don't care. Alright, and then I'm going to take some garlic. Oh, you know, why do I want to use the little holes? Forget the holes, just dump some nice, you know, nice generous amount of garlic in there. Get some pepper in there because it can, right? Here you go. Just go ahead and do that. Hey Meg, how you doing? Nice to see you. Alright, well, now there, I'm done. No, just kidding. This is the part where we get dirty. Alright. So I do have some gloves. I've had to ration the gloves because I'll tell you, like, no one's selling any right now and it kind of blows. But, you know, I'm going to, and yes, I will spank the meat again because there's enough people watching. Oh my goodness, you know. I gotta have fun on Thanksgiving, yeah. So I don't traditionally cook turkey. I will admit I've never cooked a turkey in my life. It's not my thing. I'm not into turkeys. I've just had this, it just doesn't work with me. So this is done. That's going straight into my recycle bin there. And here we go. So this is our wonderful meat slab here. This is once again 4.5 pound rib roast. And what I'm going to do now is, you know, get this thing busy. So here's the bowl of butter. So what I need to do is basically I got to get in there and massage this butter so that all of the seasoning that I just shoved in this bowl as well. And the thing is, I will say this, is that trying to do this with gloves that slip off, it's not fun. It's kind of weird, but you just got to do the best you can here and just get this butter incredibly mixed so that you can, you know, get this going. So just a couple of key things is the reason why I'm blessing this thing in butter, which is completely, there are many ways people do this. Some people cover the roast only in olive oil. Some people do other things. Well, it depends on also what kind of method you're actually trying to do this in. If you're trying to do this method like the way, oh yes, I cook too. Yeah, I know, and I'm also single, by the way. Yeah, I know how to treat meat right. So there's many ways that you can cook a prime rib. Some people like to slow cook it for like 6 hours. The way I do it is actually something called a broil and wait. And so what it is that I have the oven currently set to 500 degrees. And what happens is that I'm going to broil to basically sear it. I'm going to be broiling this this roast proportionately to the weight of the actual roast. So because this is a fresh roast, I don't have to do any additional weighing, okay? And you know, I don't have to do any additional weighing because this is the actual weight that came out of the butcher. If I were in the situation where I had the time to actually dry age this thing would have lost at least 30% of its weight, and then I would have had to re-weigh it on one of my little, scales. But this one here is 4.5 pounds. So if we multiply 4.5 times 5, that's a little under 25 minutes. It's like, let's see, it's almost 25 minutes. So I'm going to do the actual math here. And the way that I'm going to do this is after I put it in the oven for that much time, after those minutes, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the oven and let it sit for 2.5 hours. And this formula, which actually only works as long as you have at least a 4-pound roast, that's why I went with 4.5, this actually does work and nearly guarantees you medium rare as long as you don't touch the oven. Now, that's why it's being broiled at such a high heat. So in order to keep it, nice and moist, I want to make sure that I have this amazing butter here. I know this is like a stupid amount for a 4.5 pound roast, but c'est la vie, this is life. There we go. So what you want to do is you want to take this butter here, and you're going to basically leave it on there. No, I'm just kidding. So you want to go ahead and just get this thing completely slathered. You want to get all the orifices. You want to basically make sure that the butter is all over every section of this. This is only the first part, okay? As you can see, it's really messy, and that's why I have a cutting board. And if there's a little too much, you can just put some back in the bowl and then spread it out later. But yeah, you just want to make sure that as much of the butter is on here. I mean, you want this nice, buttery everything. Butter the butter. Yes. Butter it all. Yes. I know, this is, I often say, food porn is great as long as you're sharing it with other people. It's okay to share food porn. If you have, food porn, furniture porn, totally okay. Other kinds of porn, we'll have to talk later. But definitely, you want to get everything though. You want to get the ribs, and just, yes, I am broadcasting myself rubbing meat with my fingers, rubbing butter all over this massive roast. It's not even that massive. It's like 4.5 pounds. I mean, okay, massive for a single person. Here you go. On today's episode of cooking, what is it, Thanksgiving for single people? Single people during a pandemic. It's like the perfect storm of everything. And so as you can see, I mean, this is getting everywhere, and I have to wear the gloves, otherwise it's just going to end up all over. And what I'm doing is I'm also getting it in the folds on the inside too. Like I said, I basically took an entire 8-ounce stick of butter. I mean, this thing's massive, okay? In case you don't know what 8 ounces of butter looks like, it's basically 2 sticks of butter in a conventional package. But since I bought a Costco one, it comes in like an 8-ounce block. It's a little insane. So I'm going to continue. As you can see, it's getting a little ridiculous right now. It's getting really ridiculous right now. Okay. And these gloves they are slipping off because of how sticky the butter is, but it's okay because we're just having fun here. Oh yeah. Keeping it real. This is the butter. This is that, and it is gorgeousness. Oh, I got a lot of butter on that side. I got to make sure that it gets spread out. And let's make sure that this whole thing is just basted. I want to make sure that I don't miss a single square inch of this thing, because you got to make this count, right? Oh yeah. It's like here's my cooking show, right? This I'll tell you right now, there's quite a bit of butter. I mean, usually I would use an 8-ounce for maybe something closer to like a 6-pound roast. So there's going to be a little bit of butter left, but hey, better more than less, as I say. And you want to make sure that it's in everything. Beautiful, just a beautiful roast here. I mean, just get it in everything, just whatever. It's all going to get, once it gets in the oven, it's going to be completely, melted off and everything. It's just, so you want to make sure that this thing is just blessed. Now, mind you, too, I'm not done yet. There's actually one last thing that you got to do when you do this. I have in the front here kosher salt, and this kosher salt needs to go onto the roast as well, because the salt is also what helps with the moisture, helps cook it, gives it that nice cap at the top, right? So I want to make sure that the whole thing is just, we have a good, decent covering here. Mind you too, there are 4 sides to this thing. It's basically a cube of deliciousness that will become even more delicious once it's cooked. Okay, so I know my freaking gloves are slipping off here, but hey, you know, that's nature of the beast, or the nature of this beast being natured. Yeah, trying to adjust my fingers here. Okay, my pinky is all over the place on this particular glove. Come on here. That's better. Okay, that's better. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do, now that it's all been done, is I'm going to take the kosher salt here, and we're going to stick kosher salt all over this thing. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a lovely, lovely mess here. So here we go. So here's my kosher salt, okay, and I already took it out and put it in a bowl because I wasn't really sure how much I was going to use. Probably not going to use all of this, but as you know, kosher salt is super, super cheap. So it doesn't really matter. You want to make sure that it sticks nice. You know, kosher salt is great for a lot of applications. But you want to make sure that it sticks on everything. Get it nice and beautifully on there, because that helps also with the it also makes that nice crusty part of the top. So you want to make sure. And you know, here's the thing: you've got 4.5 pounds of meat that you've got to permeate through. So, you know, is it okay to use a ton of salt? Yeah, it's totally okay, because you want to make sure that the whole thing has a, you know, beautiful, yeah, just liberally throw it on there, because really, like, only like a quarter of this is going to go through. You know, it's going to naturally cook on its own. So, just do that. Okay, let's make sure that I got everything. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and, there we go. Now I've got to find where the ribs are. Okay, so you wanna do this with the ribs up. Gives it a nice, you know, gives it the support. Okay, so let me see if I can find those ribs. Okay, here they are. Right. Now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put this on our. Sure. Now, mind you too is that there's still a lot of butter left, and I have decided that it's all going on top because I don't care. Yeah, there you go. Just do the whole thing, whatever. Have fun. You know, butter everything. Just whatever. Butter. So it makes it amazing, right? And besides, you know, I only do this probably once, maybe twice a year. So I am not wasting any of this butter, none of this goodness. It is all. Because, like I said, as soon as it hits the oven, it's going to roast down. So, I honestly, this is amazingly epic. If I don't say so myself. Oh yeah. And yeah, if only you could smell this right now. I mean, I haven't even thrown it in the oven, and it's already like amazeballs, you know. But as you know. I'm going to go ahead and just throw a little bit more kosher salt on this bastard. Because I can. Yeah. Bless it. Bless it with kosher salt. There you go. Alright. Yeah, so it's, if they ask me, it's like, yeah, I know how much roast did you, how much did you do? I'm like, basically a very illegal amount, right? Okay, so Patty, to answer your question, it is basically a standard rib roast. I'm going to be cooking it in the prime rib style. So I'm basically making a giant 4.5 pound prime rib. You know, so that's to answer your question. So the one holiday thing I do every year that's like insanely good. So, hey Mark, hey you walked in on my rib roast thing. So let me do this. I'm gonna move a few things aside here, and you can take a look at the what we're about to do here. This is about to go down. Go ahead and wipe this down just a little bit because I did get a little bit of butter on the table. I had a cutting board laid down just to kind of just, you know, reduce the amount that was coming through here. Okay. Here you go. This is the 4.5-pound rib roast. Yes, I'm making magic. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Very nice to see you. I'm just very glad that I can at least do this year and, you know, have some fun. And like I said, right now, this has been prepared. This didn't take very long. I just have to go in and just wait for this to be ready to you know, throw into the oven. And so let's do a little bit of math here. Okay, this is just for yeah, pretties. And a little bit of garlic if you can. Actually, yeah, you gotta have a little bit of magic, right? Oh my gosh. I am so glad you are using my vanilla extract. I'll tell you right now, just check this out, okay? So, that's my cousin Mark. He's like, oh yeah, vanilla extract? How much vanilla extract he has? I was like, I got a ton of it right here, right? There you go. Tons of vanilla extract. This is great for your lattes. I'm going to probably make some cookies. Yeah, I make my own vanilla extract because I was just so sick of these tiny little bottles and yeah. Yeah, so have fun with that. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see how we're doing. Whew. I think that's up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes here before I throw this thing into the oven. So the first thing I need to do is I need to calculate the... Gonna need more? Okay, well, you know you're going to have to swing by, right? And get some from me. Bring your own bottle, 6 feet apart. I'll take care of you. No worries. But yes, I think this will be ready very, very soon. I just want to make sure that the broil is all the way up. It says that it is set to the preheat is off, so that's good. Now I've got to do some math because I can't seem to multiply anymore. So give me a second here. Yeah, give me a book. So let's see. 1 second. Don't worry, I didn't run off. Okay, so when we throw this thing into the oven, 4.5 times 5 is 22.5. No, I didn't do that in my head. I actually had to go into my room and ask Google. So 4.5 times 25, it says 4.5 times 5 is 22.5. So I'm going to round that up to 23 minutes. And so what's going to happen is I have, like I said, the oven on broil. I'm going to run this for 23 minutes. At 23 minutes, I will shut off the oven. And I will let it sit for 2.5 hours. At that time, it's going to slowly cook on its own because what I'm doing is in a broil mode, I am actually searing the outside and then letting the inside cook. Okay? So, yeah, that's pretty much how you prepare one of these things. I mean, I think this thing looks pretty awesome. And by the way, if you ever end up going back to, you know, your local IKEA store, you know, I definitely recommend getting one of these roast pans. It was like $9. I've been using this thing for the last 4 years, doing roasts like this, and it is like the best thing I have. Very, very useful. Of course, I definitely recommend lining it with aluminum foil. Otherwise, you're going to be spending half your time soaking this thing until Christmas, which is actually what happens. Okay, I have this thing set to high. Now, how many of you are ready to stick a oven in, you know, stick a thing in here? Okay, remember, 23 minutes, and then I'm shutting this thing off. So here we go. Nice knowing you. All right, bake time. actually. I have to set a timer for 23 minutes. Give me a second. Hey Google, set a timer for 23 minutes. Alright, so now I've requested Google for 23 minutes. As soon as that rings, that gets turned off, and then I sit and wait and let this place smell like amazingness. Unfortunately, I cannot Facebook Live the smell of things, but I will assure you that it is quite tasty. In the meantime, I haven't really thought of what I'm going to do for sides. I think since I'm a single person in a pandemic by myself, cornbread mix with Jiffy. That's always a good one. Mashed potatoes because, like I said, just add water because I already did the hard part. And I decided, you know what, let's just do some rice pilaf. This is a favorite of mine. Good old rice-a-roni rice pilaf because that is what's up. So, all right, this thing's on a roll. I will have pictures later. Do your thing. And if you have any other questions, or if you were thinking of stopping by for samples, and yes, I'll just give you, I'll just have like a 6-foot long, fork, and I'll just like stick it in your mouth or something. I don't know. I guess that's how it works. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm glad that I finally got to do the rib roast on live Facebook because I can, right? And eat your meat if it flies or if it walks. Just enjoy it. And if you don't do that, at least, it was nice chatting with you all. I hope you're doing all of you are doing well, and always, I'm online a lot, so please feel free to drop a line if you have nothing else to do with yourself. So yes, I will talk to you all later. I'm gonna sign off and wait for this to do its thing, and then we're gonna have some fun cutting. I think I might live stream that later. So I hope all of you have a nice Thanksgiving. I hope that whatever is going on in your world, you're getting through it. And cooties suck. Please try your best to not spread the cooties. Wear your mask. Okay, that's my standpoint on things. Okay, I work with weird children. These children are already walking cooties in themselves, and then the cooties carrying the cooties. It's just not a great combination. So I really, please protect yourselves, okay? Because this is no joke. Regardless of how much you feel the severity of it is, this stuff ain't no joke. So, all right, catch you all later.